The millionaire, the beggar, the black nanny, the poor woman, and the housekeeper. Seattle's rain battered the bus windows like a drumbeat against Valentina's tired nerves. Her chest tightened with every cough that escaped Lily's fevered lips. A tiny burning weight nestled against her shoulder. The weight of the hospital shift still pressed down on her. Endless hours stitching wounds, soothing broken souls. But here, now, all that training felt useless. Just a mother desperate to save her little girl. Across from her sat a man whose eyes held strange kindness, like a secret flame flickering in the storm. Ethan. His clothes whispered wealth, fine jacket, polished shoes, but his gaze was soft, warm. Not the usual polished stranger. No flashing ring or patronizing grin. Just quiet. The bus smelled of wet leather and old newspapers. Outside, neon signs flickered in puddles. Inside, the tension wrapped itself tighter around Valentina's trembling hands. She glanced at Ethan again. "Need any help with Lily? I know a good clinic nearby, less crowded. Might speed things up." Suspicion flickered across her face, a sharp pang mixing with exhaustion. She's seen dark smiles masked as kindness. Tried trust before. It shattered like glass. Yet, desperation clawed stronger tonight. Beside them, murmurs stirred. The entire bus, passengers cast sideways glances at the unlikely pair. The nurse with a sick child, and the mysterious man who looked neither like a savior nor a predator. Some whispered, "Why is that millionaire talking to a poor mom?" Others snorted, probably a scam, or worse. The black nanny sitting a few seats back caught it all, her eyes sharp, judgment hidden beneath a calm mask. She handled her basket tightly, sweat beating at her temple, aware of the fragile balance on this crowded bus. The poor woman rocking an infant nearby swallowed hard, dirt-smudged fingers weaving through frayed shawl strands, and the housekeeper scurrying past like a Shah. Valentina felt all eyes, or was it just her mind working the dark corners, trying to unravel the knotted puzzle she was trapped in? The millionaire whispered dreams of a world cleaner, kinder, better. A cooperative project to heal the city, the planet, Lily's future. His visions sparkled bold and relentless. For a moment, a flicker of hope stabbed through her weariness. Could she risk stepping away from the hospital? Join this unlikely crusade? Build a future for her daughter beyond these endless, brutal nights? Then, just as shadows whispered a fragile dream, chaos slammed back. The sudden, heavy footsteps. The voice so jagged with menace it nearly broke her. Jake, Lily's father. The man whose absence had shredded calm under her skin. Whose promises had meant nothing but storms. A sharp chill stabbed Valentina's spine as Jake appeared, pulling old wounds into the open. The fragile thread she was weaving with Ethan trembled dangerously. Her heart hammered, a clash of fear, fierce protectiveness, and a whispered plea for peace. Ethan's eyes caught hers, steady but haunted. His secret, his family fortune, and the dark edge hanging behind it, hovered like a steel blade ready to drop. Was this man her salvation? Or another storm in disguise? The rain fell harder now, drumming secrets on the bus roof. Valentina's breath caught. Torn between past betrayals and fragile hope, she faced the impossible question. Who could she truly trust? And what price would love demand in a world splintered by truth and lies? Hey! Before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And while you're at it, hit that powerful like button. It really helps with the owl. I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The rain drummed louder, as if the world outside was shattering the stillness inside the bus. Valentina's breath came in shallow waves, fear gnawing at her like a wild animal. Jake stalked closer, his figure a dark cloud looming over her fragile hopes. The other passengers instinctively shrank back, a ripple of anxiety spreading like a whisper of storm through the cramped space. "Hey, Val," he drawled, each word laced with disdain. "Look what the wind blew in. You forget how to take care of our girl?" Ethan shifted beside her, his body tense like a coiled spring. Valentina locked eyes with him, a silent plea for help. She felt the weight of judgment from those around them. The housekeeper's fleeting glance, the nanny's discerning gaze. The bus felt smaller, the walls closing in. "Leave us alone, Jake," she managed to say, her voice trembling. He interrupted, his voice rising, raw and jagged. "Not some rich guy playing hero. What do you even know about caring?" The tension thickened, heavy as smoke. Ethan stepped between them, his posture wide, a shield. "You don't need to talk to her like that." "Back off, man," Jake barked, eyes flashing dangerously. "What's your angle? Pretending to be a nice guy?" Before Valentina could respond, a sudden bang resounded through the bus as the side door burst open. A group of masked figures stormed in, shouts and chaos igniting the cramped space. Valentina's heart raced. Fear twisted her stomach, making her sick. Everyone on the floor. "Now!" one of the intruders yelled. The passengers screamed, panic exploding. Bodies pressed together as people scrambled beneath seats. Valentina tightened her grip around Lily, who stirred fitfully against her shoulder. Ethan stood his ground, voice calm yet firm. "Stay behind me, Valentina. We'll get through this." But Jake's snarl cut through the air. "You think you can protect her? This ain't a game." One of the masked intruders spun around, the glint of a weapon catching the dim light. "Shut it! Nobody move!" Valentina's heart pounded, a frantic drum in her chest. What was happening? The weight of fear suffocated her. Then, through the chaos, she heard an unexpected sound, a strange voice calling from the back. "Jake, stop!" Valentina turned, shock coursing through her. It was the Black Nanny, standing tall with an aura of quiet confidence. She hadn't cowered. Instead, she faced the intruders, eyes unwavering. "It's not them you want, it's me." Time seemed to freeze. The tension shifted as the masked marauders hesitated, confusion knitting their brows. "What do you mean?" one asked, lowering the weapon slightly. The nanny stepped forward, speaking slowly, her voice a soothing balm against the chaos. "You don't understand what you're doing. There are safer ways to resolve this," Jake sneered. "What do you know? You're just a—" "Shut up," she snapped. "You're not thinking straight. You're risking everything." Then, in a shocking twist that rattled the bus, a glimmer of recognition crossed the faces of the intruders. One took a hesitant step forward, eyes searching her face. And then the atmosphere shifted again sharply. "Wait a second," he whispered, the mask slipping. "You're—" Valentina's breath hitched. Who was this woman? What secret did she carry? Instead of chaos unraveling, an unseen thread began weaving another story. As the bus rumbled on, the sound of rain became a distant hum. Questions raced in Valentina's mind. What price were the intruders willing to pay? And why was this woman so important? The air felt electric. Trust was about to be tested. Lives were hanging by a thread. What would happen next? Who could Valentina count on now? The world felt fragile, the truth ready to shatter under the weight of secrets. Time seemed to freeze. The tension shifted as the masked marauders hesitated, confusion knitting their brows. "What do you mean?" one asked, lowering the weapon slightly. The nanny stepped forward, speaking slowly, her voice a soothing balm against the chaos. "You don't understand what you're doing. There are safer ways to resolve this," Jake sneered. "What do you know? You're just a—" "Shut up," she snapped. "You're not thinking straight. You're risking everything." Then, in a shocking twist that rattled the bus, a glimmer of recognition crossed the faces of the intruders. One took a hesitant step forward, eyes searching her face, and then the atmosphere shifted again. "Wait a second," he whispered, the mask slipping. "You're—" Valentina's breath hitched. Who was this woman? What secret did she carry? The mood grew tense as the masked group seemed to weigh their options. The rest of the passengers held their breath. Fear coursed through the air, thick and choking. Ethan took a step closer to Valentina, eyes darting between the nanny and the intruders. "Let's just calm down, please," he murmured, his voice steady but edged with fear. Then a piercing shriek exploded through the bus, slicing through the thick air. It was Lily, her small body twisting in Valentina's arms as she convulsed with a horrible cough that spilled from her lips. "Mama!" she cried, her face flushed with fever, overwhelmed by the storm of voices. "Lily!" Valentina's heart lunged in her chest, fear snapping like a brittle twig. In that heartbeat, she felt the weight of her world crashing down. The chaos, the threats, Jake's hostility, it all blurred into white noise. The nanny's composure faltered for the briefest moment as concern flickered in her eyes. "I know someone can help," she began. But the masked intruder with the weapon edged closer, cutting her off. "Shut it! We don't have time for games." Then, without warning, the front door of the bus exploded open. A wave of light flooded in, followed by a flurry of shouts and footsteps. Valentina squinted, blinking against the sudden brightness. Who could possibly be coming now? A figure burst in, silhouetted against the light. A woman, her hair wild and her clothes disheveled, stumbled into view. Valentina's heart dropped as recognition spiraled through her. It was Maya, the nurse from the hospital, the one who had been by Valentina's side during the toughest shifts. But there was something different about her now. Her eyes were frantic, wild. "Maya?" Valentina's voice barely rose above the noise. "What are you doing here?" Ignoring her question, Maya pressed onward, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal. "They know! You have to get out." Confusion wrinkled Valentina's brow. "What are you talking about?" But just as the words left her mouth, the masked intruder turned. "What are you doing with her? You shouldn't be here." Maya's eyes widened. "You need to leave, now." Then a blinding crack of lightning illuminated the bus, and in that flash, chaos erupted. The masked intruders lunged toward Maya, but she was faster. A sharp movement, almost fluid, and she ducked just as one of them lunged. In the melee, Valentina's mind raced. What did Maya mean? The intruders were targeting her? And why was Jake's face turning pale, his bravado now splintering into fear? As the bus erupted into chaos, the sound of shouts blending with the thunder outside, Valentina felt the world tilt on its axis. Trust became a fragile thing. All these people, every connection, everything felt like it was being stripped away. "Maya!" Valentina yelled. "What do you know?" But before Maya could answer, there was a violent crash as the window beside her shattered. Glass sprinkled like stars across the floor, the sound sharp as nails on her skin. The revelation struck hard. This wasn't just about Lily or the struggles of a single mother anymore. The threads of their lives twisted together in ways Valentina couldn't comprehend. What had they all hidden? Every trust, every lie, a fabric torn raw. And as the rain pounded outside, the bus filled with a suffocating weight of unspoken secrets. Who could she rely on as the storm closed in? Was Jake just a broken father, or part of something bigger? And what of Ethan? Who exactly was he beneath the polished exterior? Valentina's chest tightened, the heavy weight of uncertainty pressing down. One thing surged to the front of her mind. They were all caught in a web that tied them closer together than she had ever imagined. Fear and revelation intertwined as they stumbled toward the truth. In that pulsing moment, as chaos reigned, Valentina's heart cried out in desperate need of clarity. What had they awakened, and at what cost? The world outside was falling apart. Within this bus, truth loomed like a dark shadow, ready to engulf them all. The rain thrashed against the metal skin of the bus, drowning out the cries and the chaos. Valentina felt the weight of panic surge within her. She had to protect Lily, had to keep her safe. The world felt like it was teetering on a knife's edge. Maya, wild-eyed and frantic, pressed through the crowd. "You need to go! Now!" Her voice cracked under the pressure. "Why?" Valentina gasped, fear squeezing her heart. "What do you know?" The air was electric, and every second stretched into eternity. But before Maya could answer, another figure stormed in, through the front. A tall man with piercing blue eyes and a scar running down his cheek. His presence was commanding, cutting through the turmoil like a knife. The masked intruders froze. "Stop!" he shouted, raising his hands, his voice booming against the frantic chaos inside the bus. "You don't want to do this." Jake's expression twisted from anger to confusion. "Who the hell are you?" he spat, his bravado faltering. "I'm here for the girl," the man declared, eyes locking onto Lily. "She's in danger." Valentina's breath caught in her throat. "What are you talking about?" Before he could respond, the bus jolted violently. An impact from outside pushed against the side, causing a panicked ripple among the passengers. "Get down!" the intruder yelled. Lily coughed again, panic growing on her little face, and Valentina held her tightly, her heart racing. "Please, no more." Tears pricked her eyes. She felt shattered by fear. "We need to move," Maya urged, stepping beside Valentina, her urgency palpable. Suddenly, the intruder lunged toward Jake, grabbing him by the collar and yanking him closer. "You're the reason they're here," he hissed, eyes aflame with accusation. "You have to tell me where they are." Now, Jake's bravado crumbled, and for a fleeting moment, Valentina saw a flicker of fear in his eyes, a fear that felt foreign. "I don't know what you're talking about," he protested, but there was a tremor in his voice. Maya turned, her face pale. "This is about the deal, isn't it? The trafficking? You put Lily in the middle." Her words cut through the chaos like shards of glass. Valentina froze, confusion racing through her. "What deal? What trafficking? You're lying." "No," the man shouted, turning back to Valentina, desperation etched on his face. "Listen to me. Jake made a deal to sell kids. Your child is in the crosshairs because of him. You have to trust me." The words hit Valentina like a punch to the gut. She felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Everything she thought she knew unspooled like loose thread. Jake, the absent father wrapped in shadows. The betrayal sank into her bones, cold and unyielding. "No," she whispered, a lump forming in her throat. "This can't be true." But the eyes of the passengers reflected the truth. Gasps echoed along the bus. The housekeeper's mouth dropped open in shock. The black nanny looked sick, awareness crossing her face. This was bigger than any of them had imagined. Suddenly, there was a loud bang, a gunshot. Valentina's heart raced, the pulse of fear thrumming through her body. The masked intruders reacted immediately, shouting and pushing. "Get down!" The man yelled again as he shielded Valentina with his body. The world blurred as fear merged into survival instinct. Valentina clutched Lily tighter, eyes wide as chaos exploded around her. Everything spun, shouts, thunder, pounding rain. What had she brought into their lives? "Trust me," the man shouted, and his eyes walked onto hers. It felt like a lifeline in the midst of a storm. But how could she? How could she trust anyone now? And then, the biggest twist of all, Jake, this man who had filled her with rage and hurt, began to laugh. A low, chilling sound that sent shivers racing down Valentina's spine. "You really think they care about you?" he sneered, his facade crumbling. "You're just a pawn, just like the rest of them." In that moment, as her heart shattered into pieces, the clouds shifted. The rain felt like shards of ice as the ground fell away beneath her. Valentina was left clinging to her daughter, teetering on the edge of truth. Who could she trust now, and how deep did the betrayal run? All she could think was, what had she stepped into? And could she save her child from a world unfurling with betrayal? The rain hammered relentlessly against the bus, amplifying the chaos within. Valentina's heart pounded in rhythm with the storm, and her thoughts raced as she held Lily tightly, trying to shield her from the storm of betrayal around them. "Do you see what you've done?" the man shouted at Jake, his hands still clenching the fabric of Jake's clothing. "You've put all of us in danger." As Valentina began to process the terrible truth, a scream sliced through the air, an ear-piercing, terrified sound that turned every head. It was the black nanny, eyes wide, horror etched on her face. "No, not here, not now." In the next breath, a figure lunged through the bus door. A small, wiry child, barely 10, darted inside, eyes darting wildly. "They're coming! They're coming!" he shrieked. Valentina's breath hitched. The boy looked familiar. She had seen him in passing on the hospital ward, one of the children she had tried to help. "What's happening?" she gasped, panic rising in her throat. He turned wide, panicked eyes on her. "They know! It's all a trap!" Before she could process what he meant, the masked intruders began shoving people aside. "Get down!" they shouted, aiming their weapons at the boy as panic raced like wildfire among the passengers, scattering gasps and cries. The sudden shift in the bus's atmosphere pierced Valentina like ice. "What's a trap?" she croaked, clutching Lily tighter. "It's about the kids. The trafficking isn't just local," he screeched. "They're working with more than just Jake." The man beside Jake released him, now focused on the boy. "What do you mean?" "I overheard them talking," the boy cried, voice quaking. "They're going to take me and others. Someone on the outside. They want us gone." A growing dread settled over Valentina. "Someone on the outside?" she repeated, searching the boy's face for answers. But before he could respond, the bus was rocked by a solid impact, slamming the door back against the frame as another masked figure barged in. This one was bigger, towering over the crowd. "Move aside," the newcomer shouted, pushing through with immense force. "This is about to get messy." The other masked intruders hesitated, uncertainty flickering across their faces. The boy's eyes widened further, terror flooding them. They're working for a syndicate. You have to believe me. They know everyone involved." Jake's laughter rang out again, hollow and chilling. "You're all fools if you think you can stop this." Valentina's heart raced. How many layers of deception surrounded them? Who were they really dealing with? Just as the tension peaked, another blinding flash illuminated the bus. Suddenly, the sound of sirens began to wail, cutting through the chaos. "It's the police!" someone screamed. The masked intruders shifted uneasily, glancing around as realization dawned. "We can't stay here!" one yelled, panic rising in his voice. The boy stepped forward, eyes blazing. "You don't understand. They're not just coming for you. They're coming for all of us." And then it happened. The bus door burst open one last time, and in stepped a woman, a fierce presence with a commanding voice. "Enough!" she shouted, and Valentina felt the room chill with her cold gaze. "I'm here for the girl." Valentina's heart dropped. "Who are you?" But the woman's eyes locked on Jake. "You've caused enough trouble, haven't you?" In that heartbeat, everything shifted. Jake faltered, his bravado cracking under the weight of the stranger's presence. I don't know what you're talking about." "Right," she sneered. "You think hiding behind a facade has saved you?" Valentina's head spun. Who was this woman? What did she know? The weight of secrets hung thick in the air. What had Jake truly done? As the sirens grew louder, drowning out the clatter of fear, Valentina's world began to fracture further. Was Jake a pawn in a bigger game? Had everything she believed crumbled in an instant? In that moment, they stood on the precipice of a revelation that would transform everything. Would the truth embrace them, or tear them apart? It felt as if every heart was racing toward an unseen cliff, waiting for the inevitable fall. The bus felt like it was about to explode. The tension crackled in the air. Valentina could feel every heartbeat thrumming in her ears. The armed intruder towered above them, demanding control, and it sent icy fingers of fear racing down her spine. The woman with the fierce gaze took a step forward. "I won't ask you again, Jake. This ends here." Jake's bravado splintered further. "You don't know what." Before he could finish, the sound of squealing brakes pierced through the storm outside, louder than anything she had heard before. Valentina's heart sank, an ominous feeling wrapping around her. Just then, a loud crash erupted as police vehicles surrounded the bus. Lights flickered wildly, filling the small space with a surreal glow. Shadows danced erratically across the terrified faces of the passengers. "Get down!" yelled the woman. Then, everything shifted in an instant. Something heavy slammed against the bus from outside, shaking it violently. The glass windows rattled, and Valentina felt as if the world was tipping precariously. The masked figures exchanged looks of panic. "We've got to move," one shouted, glancing toward the door. But before they could act, the sound of gunfire erupted from outside. Boom! Boom! The kids screamed, and Valentina instinctively pressed Lily closer to her chest, as if her tiny frame could shield them both from the chaos engulfing them. "Stay with me," she shouted, urgency flooding her voice as she glanced at Maya. "We have to get out." But as Valentina turned back, her eyes widened in shock. The woman was no longer just a stranger. She stood confidently, one foot forward, arms crossed, her face eerily calm despite the chaos. "Everybody, listen." She pulled off her hood. Valentina's insides twisted in disbelief. It was Jade, the girl who had worked side by side with Valentina in the hospital just weeks ago. Her eager smile and boundless energy flooded back into Valentina's memory. The woman who had held Lily and sang her lullabies. "Jade?" Valentina whispered, fear and confusion flooding her voice. "What are you doing here? And why are you—" But before she could finish, Jade raised her hand. "No time. I came to help, to expose the truth." Suddenly, the bus door was flung open again, a massive figure barging in. But this time, it wasn't a masked intruder. It was an officer shouting, "All clear! Everyone out! Now!" As the chaos unfurled, Valentina felt her chest tighten again, but she had to get Lily to safety. She glanced at Jake, who stood paralyzed in shock, his confidence ripped away. "Move, Jake!" she yelled, pushing toward the exit. But he remained frozen. Jade rushed toward him, eyes aflame. "You don't deserve a choice anymore. You sold her. You put her in danger." Then, more gunfire erupted. Closer. One of the masked figures turned to flee, but before he could reach the door, the figure burst through again, shouting, "You think it's over? It's just begun." The ground shook beneath them. The air crackled, heavy with dread. Valentina grabbed Lily tighter, her heart pounding in her throat. Everything shifted again. "They know you're here," Jade called out, her voice steady yet frantic. "They're coming for everyone." Another figure appeared behind the bus, their face obscured. But Valentina felt a chill run down her spine. It was another officer, but their uniform looked different. "Get down!" he shouted, raising his weapon. Panic spread through the crowd, harsh whispers bouncing around. "What is happening?" Someone gasped, wide-eyed. "Why are they targeting us?" Then the figure lifted the mask, and Valentina almost gasped again. It was Ariel, the head nurse from the hospital, the one who had ensured Lily would receive care, the one she had trusted completely. "Ariel?" she breathed. "What are you doing?" Ariel's eyes flashed with urgency. "They'll come for you next, Valentina. You don't understand. We have to go." Sweat trickled down Valentina's spine. Confusion churned within her. Why was Ariel here? What did she know? Who are they? What do you mean? Valentina tried to grasp the words pouring out like a flood, but the puzzle pieces felt impossibly tangled. "Trust me, Val. You're in deeper than you think." Ariel's voice cut through the noise, resonating with raw honesty. As Lily whimpered against her, Valentina felt the ground slip beneath her. What was everyone hiding? Who could she trust? In that moment, something cracked inside her, revealing a fear deeper than she had known. The threads of loyalty and trust felt thin and frayed. Would she follow Ariel? Would she lean into this chaotic truth? Or clutch tightly to her hopes, whatever they might still hold? And amidst the spinning chaos, as the darkness outside encroached, one question burned brightly. What horror had she unwittingly stepped into? Valentina's heart raced as the sirens grew louder, chaos closing in like jaws ready to snap. Jade, the once bright nurse turned fierce warrior in a moment, stood tall, eyes blazing. "We have to move," she urged, cutting through the confusion. "Where do we go?" Valentina cried out, clutching Lily, feeling the small body trembling against her. The masked intruders were shifting now, nervous eyes darting toward the door. "We can't stay," one yelled, panic painting his voice. Suddenly, Ariel stepped forward, voice steady despite the fear surrounding them. "I can get us out. Follow me." She turned, beckoning. Valentina hesitated. What kind of danger lurked in the storm outside? But she snatched a quick glance at Jake, whose face paled, now stripped of bravado. He seemed smaller, almost lost amidst the chaos. "Don't just stand there," Jade shouted. "We don't have time for this." Tension sliced through the air as Valentina felt the weight of uncertainty press down. Just moments ago, everything seemed clear, but secrets spiraled around her like a blinding storm. Then, just as Valentina stepped toward the door, the unexpected sidelined her. "Stop!" barked a voice from outside. A figure loomed at the entrance, silhouetted against the harsh lights of the police vehicles. "Who are you?" she breathed, every muscle in her body tensed. "Step away from the child," the figure shouted, and a wave of confusion washed over Valentina. "But she's mine," Valentina cried as a raw knot twisted in her stomach. The figure lowered their weapon, a flicker of recognition sparking in their eyes. "Valentina, it's me." As the figure stepped closer into the light, her heart dropped, ice filling her veins. It was Lucy, her best friend from childhood, the one who had vanished years ago without a trace. "Lucy? Get out of the way," Lucy shouted again. But there was something there, a glimmer in her eyes that held a mix of desperation and rage. "I'm here to save you, but you can't trust anyone." "What do you mean?" Valentina's voice wavered, confusion clawing at her mind. The air pulsed with tension, and the truth felt like a balled-up fist in her throat. Lily coughed again, a soft sound that lanced through Valentina's heart. She couldn't lose her daughter, not after everything. "What's happening?" "Just listen," Lucy shouted, her tone sharper now. "Jake is in deep with dangerous people. This isn't just about him. It's bigger than that. They'll kill you if you stay." The world around her shifted. Everything felt unreal as truths peeled away. "Bigger? What do you know?" Valentina cried, throat tightening. But just then Jake stumbled back, knocking into the housekeeper, a twisted look of betrayal gripping his features. "You don't know her. She's not who she seems." Valentina felt her heart hammering. Could she really trust Lucy? Maybe Jade? Or was everyone hiding words that could spell doom? Then, in a shocking turn, Lucy's eyes darted away. A second before it happened, the world slowed. "Look out!" she screamed, just as one of the masked figures lunged forward. The chaos exploded around them. Gunfire erupted. Valentina's breath hitched. The sound screamed through her bones like lightning. She dove, throwing herself over Lily just as Jade pushed back against the attackers. Everything blurred. The bus erupted in a frenzy of bodies, shouts mixed with screams. "Get down!" someone yelled. In that moment, as the world spun into madness, Valentina saw it, the truth lurking beneath the surface, the bonds shattering and entwining with a new reality. Then she looked up, and what she saw stole her breath. Jade and Lucy, the two women she thought she could trust, stood back to back, eyes locked on Jake. But the distinction between ally and foe shifted like shadows. Jake pulled a wire from his pocket, eyes wild. "You're too late!" he screamed, finger hovering over a button, a dangerous glint in his eyes. "Jake, don't!" Valentina cried, voice raw. The air thickened, electric with terror and urgency. Everything Valentina once believed shattered in an instant. Who was the enemy? Who was the real threat? As the storm outside raged on, Valentina's heart raced. The bottom dropped out of her world, turning everything upside down. Would she be able to save Lily? Or was this the end of all she knew? Amidst the chaos, with everything at stake, Valentina realized the truth was picking sides, and it was about to change the game entirely. Valentina's heart was pounding in her ears, each beat like an alarm ringing out against the clamor. The bus felt small, confined with fear and urgency. Jade and Lucy stood firm, their bodies tense, ready to confront the chaos. "Jake!" Valentina cried out, desperation lacing her voice. Just put the wire down." But Jake's eyes were wild, a cornered animal. "You think I'm not prepared?" His voice wavered, but a thread of menace ran through it, making Valentina's gut twist. "You're all in this with me." The bus was thick with panic. The masked intruders stirred, exchanging glances that spoke of uncertainty, vulnerability. One of them flinched back, uncertain whether to follow Jake's reckless bravado or save themselves from the storm brewing around them. Then the door burst open again. More flashing lights, more shouting from outside. Silhouettes of law enforcement surrounded the vehicle, their shouts drowning in the tumult. "Everyone stand down!" an officer yelled, but the urgency in his tone only fueled the chaos. Lily squirmed in Valentina's arms, her small body tense. "Mama!" she whimpered, eyes wide with fear. Valentina pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead, feeling the warmth of her feverish skin seep into her heart. "It's okay, baby, I promise," she whispered, but her conviction felt frayed. "Put the wire down, Jake. You don't want to do this." Jade's voice cut through the noise, a steely determination behind it. Jake hesitated, fingers hovering over the trigger. In that heartbeat, time stretched, the air electric with fear. Then the world shattered. A deafening bang echoed, a gunshot, and something crashed through the window beside Jake. Glass exploded everywhere, raining down like deadly confetti. Valentina instinctively shielded Lily, her body falling protectively over her daughter. A figure lunged through the shattered opening, sleek and crouched like a wolf. "Get down!" A woman with long, dark hair and fierce eyes darted to the center of the bus. "Who?" Valentina started, recognizing the rough outline. A flash of familiarity pressing on her memory. But the woman didn't wait for questions. "Go! Now!" she shouted, sweeping through the frightened crowd. Her presence was magnetic, commanding, drawing people toward her like moths to a flame. But just as Valentina tried to push through the throng, she felt Jade's grip tighten on her arm. "No, don't trust her." Jade's voice quivered, eyes wide with sudden realization. "Why?" Valentina gasped, the truth lost amidst the noise. And then Jake lunged. Like a striking snake, he wrestled with the newcomer. The tension crescendoed. The pounding rain outside matched the chaos within. "You won't take her!" he shouted. The newcomer bristled, adrenaline flashing in her eyes. "I've come to protect you all!" The energy shifted, the atmosphere charged with danger. Valentina's chest tightened as fear coiled around her heart. Protect? From what? Who are you? With a sudden turn, the newcomer twisted, and Valentina's breath caught. The woman was wearing a badge, a police badge, but also a familiar emblem. The insignia of a notorious underground syndicate Valentina had heard whispered in alleyways, the kind that made her skin crawl. "Wait!" Jade stepped forward, disbelief flooding her features. "You're with them?" "No, I'm undercover," the woman replied, urgency in her voice, a wildfire burning in her eyes. "I'm here for the truth, but time is running out." Jake's not the only one in danger. The words hit like an icy wave, slamming against Valentina's heart. She turned to Jake, whose face twisted in a confusion that mirrored her own. "You don't have to do this," Jake pleaded, but his voice carried a tremor of desperation. "You're with them?" The woman stepped deeper into the fray, an echo of her intentions wrapping around her voice. "They're coming for all of you. You think this is over? This is just the beginning." Valentina's world tilted yet again, the ground beneath her feet crumbling. Was Jake caught in this web of deceit? Or was he a puppet in a game far larger than he had ever understood? As her mind raced, the walls of the bus felt like they were closing in. Who could be trusted when the lines of truth blurred? And who else was pulling the strings in this cruel dance of fate? in the cacophony of noise, surrounded by pain and chaos, an undeniable question loomed. What nightmare had they all awakened? And who in the end would rise and who would fall? The air thickened with confusion as Lucy's face twisted, desperation etched deep in her features. "You don't understand. This isn't just about you." Her voice broke, shattering the moment. "Everything is about to unravel." Valentina's chest tightened. "Then what is it about?" She clutched Lily tighter, her heart racing. She felt like a pawn amidst players in a dangerous game. A quiet whisper flowed through the crowd. "Trust no one," it seemed to echo, reverberating beneath the frantic shouts. The masked intruders shifted again, eyes darting nervously, glancing between Lucy and Jake. One turned sharply, looking like he might flee. "Get down!" Jade shouted as the tension peaked. The newcomer wasn't waiting anymore. She took a step toward Jake, her eyes locked on him. "We need to end this now." "Stop!" Valentina cried. "Everyone, just stop." Then, through the chaos, something snapped. A blaring horn outside pierced the air, louder than before. The lights from police cars flashed in a relentless strobe, illuminating the terror reflected on every face inside the bus. "You're not taking her," Jake screamed, face twisted in a desperate snarl, clenching the wire tighter in shaking hands. "I'll blow this place sky high." Fear gripped Valentina like a vice. The weight of dread crushed her heart. Thoughts raced. Were they all about to be caught in the explosion? Panic swelled, hearts pounded, time shifted into slow motion. "Jake, just put it down!" Lucy's voice rose, a mixture of authority and fear. But just then, a loud bang erupted from the front of the bus, not from the police outside. It sounded closer, sharper. The sound of tires screeching and metal twisting echoed as the bus was slammed from the side, an explosion erupting against the metal. Everyone launched forward. The impact was thunderous. "Get back!" someone shouted. A crack splintered through the chaos. More voices cried out, panic rippling through the crowd. "Get down!" Jade yelled again, as the newcomer, the police officer, shielded Valentina and Lily with her body. Valentina's pulse raced, fear spun like a whirlwind in her chest. Who was trying to blow apart their world now? The chaos around her felt dizzying, a vivid, violent tempest swirling, trapping them all. In that chaos, a shadow separated itself from the crowd. A flicker of a recognizable face. Ethan drove forward into the fray, his eyes seeking Valentina's, intent and desperate. "I'm not leaving without you," he said, fierce determination radiating off him. But the moment was clouded by the madness swirling around them. Then, just as suddenly as it began, silence stretched through the bus. A deep, heavy silence enveloped them. The outside noise faded, leaving only the pounding of Valentina's heart echoing in her ears. Jake dropped the wire, confusion painting his features as realization struck. "What have I done?" His voice wavered, raw regret forming cracks. A figure stepped through the broken doorway, silhouetted against the flashing lights. It was another officer, gray hair slicked back. Their face was familiar, but Valentina couldn't place them. And then it hit her, like a thunderclap. The shock radiated through her. It was Carl, the lead detective from the hospital case, the one she'd thought was missing. "It's over, Jake," Carl declared, voice unyielding, authority saturating the air, cutting through the madness. But as gripping as his presence was, confusion warped Valen. Why was he here? Did he know? Before she could process it, every eye fell on him. Then Jake's face twisted in horror. "You set me up?" he screamed, voice ripping through range. "No! No!" The mask began to slip further as Jake splintered, backing away. Before anyone could react, a massive figure emerged from the shadows behind Carl. "It's time to meet the real players." The voice rang familiar, chilling and powerful. It was Clara. The nurse who Valentina fought had been a friend. But now her intentions felt darker, sinister. "What's happening?" Valentina's breath caught, stone in her chest, dread clawing at her heart. The truth dawned like a terrible storm. It shattered her illusions, left her raw and vulnerable. Did she ever really know Clara? What role had she played in this twisted game? Suddenly, everything she believed washed away. Relationships transformed, alliances crumbled, truths twisted. Valentina stood on a precipice. The floor beneath her felt unstable. Who could she trust when shadows loomed behind every smile? And as chaos surged again, she realized trust was a mirage, and nothing would ever be the same. The events that began moving like a current would now surge like a flood. She needed answers, clarity, but as the words locked in her throat, uncertainty swirled within her. What lay ahead? Valentina's heart raced, every beat a thunderclap in the chaos swirling around her. The bus was more than crowded now. It felt like a pressure cooker, ready to explode. She held Lily close, pressing her tiny form against her chest, feeling the heat radiate off her feverish skin. Jake was stammering now, his bravado crumpling like paper in flame. "What have I done?" he muttered, and for the first time, he seemed lost, like a child caught in a storm. "Jake!" Jade shouted, her voice slicing through the chaos. "This isn't over. You've put us all in danger, and you can't just walk away." But Valentina felt a glimmer of hope as Lucy moved closer, her badge visible now, authority radiating from her. "Let's get everyone out of here, now." Outside, the sirens wailed, a piercing reminder that safety might be just within reach. The shadows from the flashing lights painted the bus in strokes of blue and red, creating an eerie dance of urgency. "Follow me," Lucy yelled, her voice resolute as she led the group. Without thinking, Valentina grabbed Lily and pushed through the crowd. She could feel the fear of the others swirling around her, panic consuming them. But with every step toward the exit, her determination grew. She needed to live, to protect her daughter. "Get down," someone shouted, and Valentina ducked, pulling Lily with her as another gunshot shattered the air. Chaos erupted again, a flurry of screams, the sound of bodies slamming against each other. But in the whirlwind, Valentina felt herself bolstered by the strength of those around her. They burst out of the bus into the sharp night, rain pouring down like a curtain of silver. Valentina's breath hitched as they stumbled onto wet pavement. Flashing lights surrounded them, and the harsh aroma of gunpowder mixed with the scent of rain, creating a cocktail of confusion and urgency. "Over here!" Lucy shouted, waving them toward a nearby police vehicle. Valentina clutched Lily tighter, glancing back. Jade and Ethan were right behind, faces set with fierce determination. And even Jake, stripped of his bravado, looked desperate enough to realize his mistakes. "I didn't want it to end like this," he rasped, shame flushing his cheeks as they reached the officers. "I just wanted to protect you, Val." But Valentina was done with excuses. She stepped forward, placing Lily in the officer's arms. "Get her to safety. She needs help." Jake's eyes flared with something. Maybe anger, or was it fear? But in that moment, as he stood isolated under the weight of his choices, Valentina turned away. She had to move forward. There was no going back now. Once the officers ushered Lily to safety, Valentina found Jade and Ethan, their eyes bright with shared determination. "What now?" she asked, searching their faces. "We'll figure it out," Ethan said, his voice steady. "We'll gather evidence, expose what's truly happening." Panic still lingered, but hope began to flicker. They could rebuild. Suddenly, Jake shouted behind them, his voice raw. "I'm sorry." The words trembled on the edge of a plea, but Valentina had come too far to turn back now. "You need to answer for what you've done," she said gently, wishing it didn't hurt so much. The rain fell heavier, mingling with their tears, a cleansing storm. This was far from over. As police began to process the chaos, Valentina took Lily back in her arms, wrapping her warmth tightly. The night sky was still filled with uncertainty, but they would face it together. With resolute hearts, they shared a glance filled with understanding. They would not be defined by this moment, not today. And as they moved away from the remnants of chaos, the world seemed to expand again, possibilities blooming like flowers defying the storm's fury. Hey everyone, this is the moment to show your support. If you enjoyed this journey, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. Don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Your engagement matters. And we want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did you think? Did you see it coming? Your thoughts mean everything. Lastly, don't wait another second to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions. Let's keep this community thriving.